calm down, that's as good as it's gonna get. I'm gonna drop the French accent for the rest of the night. That would just get exhausting for both of us. Hi, hey, how are you guys? Good? Enjoying the food? Drunk yet? We're getting there. How about a hand for those dancers, right? Yeah. Choreography is tighter than Aaron's butt clenches whenever Hype starts addressing a crowd. I think it's appropriate we take a minute to recognize the plus ones in the room. Friends, go ahead. Friends, dates, wives, any other 3 possible husbands who could be here. As you may have already gathered, there's going to be a lot covered in this show that you will probably understand very little of. To pass the time, I recommend the drinking game where you take a shot every time I say an acronym you don't know. By the end of the show, everything will be funny. Man. Believe it or not, this is the 10th Meetup holiday party, but it's also the first time we've had both the dinner and the party outside of the office, so it'll be a real accomplishment if an employee manages to puke on the 9th floor stairwell tonight. Haven't liked that one. Now, we'll get to the actual awards for tonight in a bit, but first I think it's important to review the major things that happened at Meetup this year. Possibly most significantly, we passed 100 total employees. Which is worth applauding, yes. Now with that, there comes the inevitable situation where 2 or more employees have the same name. We currently have 2 Ryans, 2 Bryans, 2 Wills, and 3 if you count our current temp, 2 Scotts, 2 Liz's, 2 Katies, 2 Erics, a Brendan and a Brandon, an Ann and an Anna, 2 Davids and a Davide, 3 Adams, 3 Joshes, 3 Matts, and 4 Michaels. To avoid embarrassing myself, I've just started calling everyone Bucko. But there are some tricks to remember who's who. For example, with Scott Heiferman and Scott Antuono, just remember that one does quite a bit to ensure that Meetup continues to function as a website and a company, and the other is the CEO. That's the hackiest joke of the night, I promise. This is my coat. Can I take my coat back? Thank you. All right, again, moving on. In January, following Will Howard's selfless contributions to the C team in the wake of Hurricane Sandy, we started a program called Doing Will Howard, in which a dev team member will sit with the C team for a few hours focused on a particular task and use that experience to gain perspective on the C team's role in Meetup and maybe even make improvements to their tools. We also apparently started a program called Doing Duncan Ariey, in which a C team member sits with QA for about a year and causes a bunch of P2s. And to my plus one, yes, that is what I was talking about when you asked what I was thinking we should do later. This year, we created a blacklist in which people registering from countries known for spamming are automatically prevented from contacting anyone else on the site. The current list is Senegal, Nigeria, and Burkina Faso, but there is one awful, corrupt, desolate region that, given the amount of PBM-ish groups coming from it, I'm surprised was left off the list. That location, of course, is Florida. In accordance with our mobile-first policy, we've significantly expanded our mobile app dev teams. We've gone from 1 iOS engineer and 1 Android engineer to 3 iOS engineers and still 1 Android engineer. This supports the theory that Mike Castleman is actually a set of triplets who are always working, but only one is actually in the office on any given day. Also, thanks to our mobile app focus, our iPhone app was featured in the iOS store last April, which puts us in an elite class of apps alongside Pro Zombie Soccer, Hillbilly Pickup, and a game called Zip Picker. Killing it with Evan. We rolled out a brand new system for roll-ups and messaging that's super smart, advanced, and did a great job of reducing the number of emails we send to members without reducing activity at all. And because we like naming cutting-edge communication technologies after outmoded mid-20th century communication technologies, we called it Switchboard. Here's one. We redid our decrepit jobs page this year. The new one is really great. It's colorful, it moves, it's got some really attractive employee photos on it. And it ensures that we know anyone applying to work here is already really, really, really good at scrolling. We acquired the 11th floor recently. Which gives us 3 consecutive floors at 632 Broadway, which is enough height for a water slide, but for some reason the design committee hasn't embraced that suggestion as much as I expected. Apparently someone else didn't like it either. Now, if you don't know the history of the 11th floor, there is a game startup called OMG Pop-Up there that almost went under, then it got acquired by what some would call a money-hungry super corporation called Zynga. Then that company started hemorrhaging money and the office got closed anyway. So there's some real good startup energy up there. It's waiting for us to do good. I'm a little concerned 3 months from now there's going to be a poltergeist-esque confrontation between Dre and Scott, where it's pouring rain, and half the company's dead, and the building is collapsing, and Dre's grabbed Scott by the collar and is saying, "You moved the desks around, but you never moved the bodies!" I'm pleased to announce I get to do this. We made our first corporate acquisition this year by acquiring Dispatch and hiring on 3 of their employees, which are Jesse, Alex, and Nick. They're smart and cool and fitting right in so far, and I wish I had a joke about that, but I totally don't. Welcome to the family, guys. This year, for the first time ever, we made profitability a major priority. Also, as it just so happens, we have around $1 billion more in the bank than we were expecting to have at this time. This really opens a lot of possible avenues for advertising or further acquisitions or experimental purchases, what have you. Or we could find a little more money into employee salaries. Like, I don't know, maybe the QA team, but not the managers or anyone who's been here longer than 3 years or less than a year. We're working on a more robust system for organizers to collect money that will both make things easier for the orgs and also give us another revenue stream. And unlike PayPal or Amazon payments, this time we're using WePay, which is super robust and easy to integrate and a huge step up from the previous options. But all I can think about when I hear it is that it's one constant sound away from the last generation motion control video game. We introduced significant org dues discounts in countries without a lot of activity, and this international pricing has been very successful in increasing meetup activity globally. For example, when it comes to the process of starting a group, conversion in India has increased around 300%, which is a statistic for international conversion that even Mormons are jealous of. All right, that was actually the hackiest joke tonight. And of course, I couldn't forget about my highlight of the year, the thing that makes working at Meetup a complete joy, but gets me through every day and never makes me regret coming to my job in the morning, regardless of how hectic things might get. And that is, of course, that we have cereal in the kitchen full time now.